what is the area of the circle? So we are given the diagram and we ask the area of the circle. As you can see from the diagram, we have an isosceles triangle inscribed in a circle. So we need to find the radius of this circle for us to know the area. Because once we know the radius, we've known the area. So the big question now is, how can we get the radius of this circle? Okay, there is a special formula for any circle that a triangle is inscribed in it. The radius is related to the sides of the isosceles triangle. Remember, it must be an isosceles triangle. So once we know the isosceles triangle, once we know the size of the isosceles triangle, we can find the radius of the circumcircle. So the formula is very simple to remember. The formula states that if you are given something like that, the radius is always equal to a squared over square root 2a squared minus b squared. Yes, where a is the congruent side and b is the third side. So a is the one with common sides, congruent sides. So as you can see from this, you see that the area, as you can see, you see that the radius is, our a is 13 here, so 13 squared over square root of 2 times 13 is 26, 26 squared minus b is 10, so 10 squared. And this is difference of 2 squared. So we have that 169 over difference of 2 squared. 26 minus 10 is 16. And 26 plus 10 is 36. So we have 169 over square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 36 is 6. 4 times 6 is 24. So we've known the radius of this circle, therefore the area is pi r square, which is 169 over 24 squared times pi, and which is option A, 28561 over 576 pi. So our answer is option A. So you'll be wondering, how come I use this formula? So let me just prove it. So we're given this diagram is the same as the previous one. So we have an isosceles triangle with congruent side A and the third side B. And if I join some points, so if I have joined, because I want to bring in the radius of the circle. So I've added some auxiliary lines, and we know that this is the radius of this circle. Let's call it R. This is also the radius R. And if we call from here to here, let's call it maybe X. I know this is perpendicular, yes, because this is the height of this isosceles triangle. The height is always a perpendicular bisector, meaning that if we call here D, so meaning here is B over 2, this is also B over 2, since the total is from here to here is B, total length. So the height is always a perpendicular bisector. So we have two right angle triangle. The first one angle triangle ABD, and the second one triangle OBD. So let's use the two triangles. The first one is this. That's the first one is this R. or maybe this is A, this is R plus X, while this is B over 2. That's triangle AB, ABD, while the second one is X, B over 2, and R. So we have two triangles now, so that in triangle ABD we see that R plus X squared is the same as B squared, A squared minus B over 2 squared. That's by Pythagorean theorem. So this should be R plus X is now square roots. We open up this B squared over 4. So B over 2 all squared is B squared over 4. So the LCM is 4. So we have 4A squared minus B squared. So, and this is square root of 4A squared minus B squared over 2. So X is 4A squared minus B squared in square root over 2 minus R. So we'll call it equation 1. So in second triangle, which is triangle OBD, so we see that X squared plus B over 2 all squared is equal to R squared by Pythagorean theorem again. See it. S squared plus B over 2 all squared is R squared. So, but we've gotten that X is this, so we replace this with X. So we have, so X is square roots 4A squared minus B squared over 2 minus R all squared plus B over 2 all squared or to R squared. So expand this squared is 4A squared minus B squared over 4 minus 2 times this, so which is R times 4A squared minus B squared, and finally plus R squared. So that's the expansion of this, plus we can expand this as B squared over 4 equal to R squared. So that's it. So we can see we have R squared here, R squared here. So R squared, R squared. So we're left with this goes over to this side to be R root 4A squared minus B squared. We are left with 4A squared minus B squared over 4 plus B squared over 4. So the LCM is 4. So we have 4A squared minus B squared plus B squared. Why this is R square root 4A squared minus B squared. So we have R times 4A squared minus B squared equals minus B squared plus B squared is 0. So we have 4A squared over 4, which is a squared. So our r is now a squared over square root 4a squared minus b squared. So if you check the diagram, you see that a squared is the congruent, a is the congruent side, while b is the other third side. So that's how I got the formula used to solve the equation. So that's how I got it. Because 4a squared is 2a all squared. Thank you.